Welcome back to episode 3 of the Naomi and Ji-won story. When we left off, Naomi had bound herself to Ji-won through a blood oath, becoming part of the Kang syndicate. She'd witnessed his brutality, accepted his darkness, and crossed every line she'd sworn never to cross. She'd become the syndicate's doctor, healing the men who fought Ji-won's wars, but the war wasn't over, not even close. The Kim syndicate was circling, waiting for weakness. And what happens next will test everything they've built together, because love in the shadows comes with a price, and that price is about to come due. The knife came out of nowhere. One second Naomi was walking through the underground parking garage of the medical supply warehouse, arms full of equipment she'd ordered for the penthouse clinic. Antibiotics, surgical supplies, bandages. The things she needed to keep Ji-won's men alive. The next second, a hand clamped over her mouth and cold steel pressed against her throat. "Don't scream," a voice hissed in accented English. "Don't fight. You come quiet, you live. You fight, you bleed, understand." Terror flooded her system, sharp and chemical. Her medical bag slipped from her fingers, supplies scattering across the concrete. This was it. The moment she'd been dreading since the blood oath, since becoming part of this world. The moment when being Ji-won's woman made her a target. The man was strong, his arm like iron across her chest. She could smell cigarettes and sweat, could feel his breath hot against her ear. The knife pressed harder, just shy of breaking skin, a warning. "Good girl," he muttered. "Now we walk nice and slow to the van." She could see it now, idling 20 feet away. Black, tinted windows, engine running. 2 more men inside, faces obscured. This wasn't random. This was planned, coordinated. They'd been watching her, waiting for her to leave the fortress, waiting for one moment of vulnerability. Her mind raced through options. Scream. The knife would open her throat before sound left her lips. Fight. He was twice her size and armed. Run. He'd catch her in 3 steps. Call for help. Her phone was in her pocket, unreachable. She did the only thing she could think of. She went completely limp. Dead weight, 130 pounds of sudden, uncooperative mass. Her attacker cursed in Korean, his grip slipping as he tried to hold her up. The knife moved away from her throat, just for a second, as he adjusted his stance. That's when the first gunshot cracked through the garage. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Her attacker's head snapped back, a spray of red mist in the air. His body fell, taking her with him. She hit the concrete hard, his dead weight pinning her, blood soaking into her clothes. Hot. Sticky, so much blood. More gunshots. Rapid fire. The van's windows exploding in a shower of glass. Men screaming. Return fire. Bullets ricocheting off concrete pillars with sparks and the smell of burning metal. The acrid stench of gunpowder filled the air. Then hands were on her, rolling the body off, pulling her up. She looked up into Ji-won's face. He was pale, absolutely pale, terror naked in his dark eyes in a way she'd never seen before. Behind him, 4 of his men were advancing on the van, weapons raised, executing the survivors with cold precision. "Are you hurt?" Ji-won's hands were on her face, her neck, her arms, checking frantically for wounds. "Naomi, talk to me. Did he cut you? Are you bleeding?" "I'm okay." Her voice came out shaky, thin. "It's not my blood, it's his. You got here in time, you got here." Her voice broke. "I'm never letting you out of my sight again." He pulled her against his chest so hard it hurt. His heart was hammering like a war drum. "Never, do you understand me? Never. You don't leave the penthouse without a full security detail. You don't go anywhere without me knowing. You don't." "Ji-won, I can't breathe." He loosened his grip but didn't let go. Couldn't let go. She could feel him shaking. Actually shaking. This man who faced down rival syndicates without flinching was trembling because someone had put a knife to her throat. "How did you know I was in trouble?" she asked. "I always know where you are." His voice was rough. "Tracker in your phone, in your watch, in your medical bag, GPS monitoring every second. When your bag hit the ground and stopped moving, when your vitals spiked, I knew. I was 3 minutes away. 3 minutes that felt like 3 hours. She should have been angry about the surveillance. Should have felt violated that he'd been tracking her without her knowledge. But all she felt was grateful. Grateful he'd been watching. Grateful he'd come. Grateful to be alive and in his arms instead of in that van, being used as leverage against him. His men had secured the scene. 4 bodies, all Kim's syndicate soldiers, one of them carrying papers with her photo, her schedule, her regular routes. They'd been studying her, planning this for days, maybe weeks. They knew my schedule, she said, looking at the papers. They knew I'd be here today. They knew everything. We have a leak. Jiwon's voice went cold, dangerous. Someone in our organization told them, someone's going to die for this. One of his men approached, phone in hand. Sir, we have a problem. This wasn't the only attack. They hit 3 of our businesses simultaneously. 2 dead, 5 wounded. The wounded are being brought to the penthouse now. Jiwon's jaw clenched. This was a coordinated strike. They wanted to divide our resources, pull me away from protecting you while they grabbed you. It almost worked. But it didn't, Naomi said firmly, trying to steady herself. I'm okay. Your men need me. Let's go. You were just attacked. And I'm fine, but they won't be if I don't treat them. That's my job now, remember? Syndicate doctor. So take me home and let me do my job. Something shifted in his expression, pride mixed with worry. You're incredible, you know that. I'm terrified and covered in blood and probably going into shock, but I can work through it. I've done it before. The ride back to the penthouse was tense and silent. Naomi sat pressed against Jiwon's side, trying not to think about how close she'd come to being taken, trying not to imagine what the Kim syndicate would have done to her, the ways they would have used her to hurt him. The penthouse was chaos when they arrived. Wounded men everywhere, Jiwon's makeshift medical team overwhelmed. Naomi didn't hesitate. She stripped off her blood-soaked jacket, scrubbed her hands, and got to work. For 3 hours, she operated, extracting bullets, suturing wounds, stabilizing trauma patients. One man had a collapsed lung. Another had internal bleeding. A third had taken shrapnel to the face and might lose an eye. She worked with mechanical precision, her hands steady even as her mind kept replaying the knife at her throat. When the last patient was stable, when every wound was closed and every vital sign acceptable, she finally stopped. Stood in the middle of the medical room, surrounded by blood and supplies and the evidence of violence, and felt the adrenaline drain out of her all at once. Jiwon found her there, staring at her hands. They were clean now, scrubbed, but she could still feel the blood, could still see it. They'll all live, she said. Everyone you brought me, they'll all survive. Because of you, he took her hands gently. You saved them. That's what I do. That's all I know how to do. She looked up at him. But how many more, Jiwon? How many more times do I patch people up just so they can go back out and bleed again? How many more times do we do this dance? Until it's over. Until the Kim syndicate is destroyed or we are. Those are terrible options. They're the only options we have. She wanted to argue, wanted to say there had to be another way, but she was too tired, too shaken, too aware of how fragile everything was. I need a shower, she said. I need to wash this day off me. Go, I'll have food brought up. And Naomi, he waited until she looked at him. I'm sorry for the tracking, for the surveillance, for all of it, but I can't lose you. I won't. I know, and I'm not angry, I'm just tired. The hot water felt like absolution, washing away blood and fear and the lingering smell of gunpowder. Naomi stood under the spray until her skin turned pink, until the water ran clear, until she felt almost human again. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a towel, Jiwon was sitting on the bed waiting for her. War Council in 30 minutes, he said. You should rest instead. No, I'm coming. They came for me today. I deserve to be in that room. It's going to be brutal. The men are angry. They want blood. Then they'll get used to me asking for restraint, because someone has to. She started dressing, pulling on comfortable clothes. I'm part of this family now. That means I get a voice. Right. Right, he stood, came to her. You're sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. That seems to be my pattern with you. The War Council assembled in Jiwon's office 30 minutes later. The room was thick with tension and rage. 8 men, the inner circle, all of them ready for violence. Min-seok stood by the window, arms crossed, face grim. When Naomi entered, every eye turned to her. She could see the anger there, the need for retribution. Someone had tried to take their family. Someone was going to pay. Ji-won took his place at the head of the table, and Naomi stood beside him. Not behind, beside, equal partner. "The Kim syndicate has declared war," Ji-won said without preamble. "Today's attacks were coordinated, professional. They had inside information about Dr. Ade's schedule and our business operations, which means we have a traitor." Murmurs of anger rippled through the room. The scarred man, Kwan, slammed his fist on the table. "Find them. Make an example. Let everyone know what happens to traitors." "Already being handled," Min-seok said. "We've narrowed it down to 3 suspects. They're being questioned now. Whoever talked will be dealt with." "What about retaliation?" another man asked. "We can't let this stand. They attacked family. They tried to take her." He gestured to Naomi. "We need to hit back, hard." "Agreed," Ji-won said. "But we hit smart. I want a full tactical breakdown of Kim syndicate operations. Leadership locations, business holdings, weak points in their security, everything." Min-seok pulled up a digital map on the large screen. Red dots marked Kim syndicate locations throughout Seoul. Restaurants, nightclubs, warehouses, residences, at least 30 targets. "We can't hit them all," Min-seok said, "but we can cripple their operations, here, here, and here." He indicated 3 locations. "These are their primary revenue streams. Destroy these and we cut their funding by 60%. "Casualties?" Ji-won asked. "Minimal if we strike at night. Most of these locations are business offices, not residential." Naomi listened, her stomach churning. They were talking about destruction, about crippling an organization, and they made it sound so clinical, so simple. "What about their leadership?" Kwan asked. "We should take out Kim Dae-sung himself, cut off the head." "Too risky," Min-seok said. "His security is too tight, we'd lose men." "So we lose men. That's the price of war." "Not if we can avoid it," Ji-won said firmly. His eyes flickered to Naomi. "We hit their operations, their money, their power base. We make them weak. Then we negotiate from strength." "Negotiate?" Kwan's voice was incredulous. "They tried to kidnap your wife, and you want to negotiate." The word wife hung in the air. They weren't married yet, but in this room, in this world, the blood oath made her his wife in all but name. "I want to end this war without losing half my men," Ji-won said coldly. "You have a problem with that." Kwan backed down, but the tension remained. These men wanted blood, wanted revenge, and Ji-won was asking them to be strategic instead of emotional. Naomi took a breath and spoke. "What about collateral damage?" The room went silent. All eyes turned to her. "These businesses you're planning to destroy," she continued, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Do they employ people who don't know they work for a criminal syndicate? Civilian staff, innocent people just trying to earn a living?" "There are no innocent people in this world," Kwan said dismissively. "Everyone makes choices." "That's not true." Naomi stepped forward, meeting his gaze. "I was innocent. Before all this, I was just a doctor trying to help people. I didn't choose this world. It chose me. And now I'm here, part of this family, bound by blood. But that doesn't mean everyone working in a Kim syndicate restaurant knows what they're part of. Some of them are just trying to survive, just trying to feed their families. They don't deserve to die because of their employer's crimes." "She has a point," another man said quietly. "Precision is better than chaos. We target leadership and infrastructure, not civilians. It sends a clearer message." "It also makes us look weak," Kwan argued. "Shows we have boundaries that can be exploited." "It shows we have honor," Ji-won said firmly. "That we're not animals, that we follow codes." He looked around the room. "We strike at night when the buildings are empty. We target their operations, not innocent bystanders. We dismantle their power without becoming the monsters they think we are." Agreed. Reluctant nods. Naomi felt something shift. She'd influenced them. Her voice had mattered. Not because she was Ji-won's woman, but because she'd made a valid point and they'd respected it. "There's another issue," Min-seok said, his voice grave. Our intelligence suggests the Kim syndicate is planning something bigger. Today's attacks were a test. They wanted to see our response time, measure our capabilities, identify our weak points. They're preparing for a major offensive. When? Ji-won demanded. Within the week, possibly sooner. They're moving resources, calling in outside contractors, liquidating assets for cash flow. All signs point to something big. Then we move first, Ji-won said. We hit them before they're ready. Strike fast, strike hard, and end this before it escalates further. I want operational plans on my desk by tomorrow morning. Every detail, every contingency. We do this right. The meeting continued for another hour, discussing tactics, logistics, contingencies. Naomi stayed, listening, learning the language of war, understanding the costs and calculations that went into violence. It was exhausting and terrifying and necessary. When it finally ended, when the men filed out, Min-seok lingered. He approached Naomi, his expression unreadable. You spoke well today, he said. The men respected you. That's rare, especially for an outsider. I'm not an outsider anymore. No, you're not. He glanced at Ji-won. She's good for you, brother, keeps you human, don't lose that. I don't plan to. After Min-seok left, Naomi and Ji-won stood alone in the office. The weight of the day pressed down on both of them. The attack, the injured, the war council, the escalating violence. Come here, Ji-won said softly. She went to him, letting him pull her into his arms. They stood like that for a long moment, just holding each other, drawing strength from the contact. I need to tell you something, he said finally, and you need to listen without interrupting. Can you do that? She nodded against his chest. I'm terrified. The words came out rough, like they hurt to say. Every second of every day, I'm terrified that I'm going to lose you, that my enemies will find a way, that my world will consume you, that you'll wake up one day and realize you made a mistake binding yourself to me. I'm terrified that I'm not enough to keep you safe, that my protection isn't enough, that my love isn't enough. Naomi pulled back to look at him. Ji-won. Let me finish. His hands came up to frame her face. Before you, I was just surviving, going through the motions, fulfilling my role as the Kang Syndicate's weapon. But I wasn't living, I wasn't feeling, I was just existing. Then you saved me, not just physically, but in every way that matters. You looked at the monster I am and you didn't run. You saw the violence I'm capable of and you stayed. You gave me something I never thought I'd have, hope, purpose beyond survival. A reason to be more than what this world made me. You are more than that, she said, her eyes burning with tears. So much more. Only because of you. You're my anchor, Naomi. The only thing keeping me human. Without you, I'd lose myself completely to the darkness. I know I would. You're the light in my life. The good. The reason I fight so hard to protect what we have. Because losing you would mean losing everything that makes me more than just a killer. You're not just a killer. You're loyal and protective and capable of incredible tenderness. You're complex and human, and you feel things so deeply even when you pretend you don't. I see you, Ji-won, all of you, the good and the terrible, and I love every part, even the parts that scare me. How can you love a monster? Because you're not a monster. You're a man doing terrible things in a terrible world. But you're still a man, you still have a heart, you still have a soul, and that's what I love, not the violence, not the power, just you. He kissed her then, desperate and fierce, like she was oxygen and he was drowning, like she was the only thing keeping him tethered to humanity. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. I'm going to marry you, he said. She blinked. What? Marry me? He pulled back, his dark eyes intense and certain. Not because of the blood oath, not because you're part of the syndicate, but because I want to, because I choose you, because I need everyone in this city, in this world, to know that you're mine and I'm yours, completely, forever, legally, undeniably. Her heart was hammering so hard she could hear it. Ji-won, we can't. Why not? He pulled something from his pocket. A ring. Simple, elegant, a single diamond on a platinum band, nothing ostentatious or showy, just beautiful and real. Because it's dangerous, everything's dangerous. Because it's complicated, Everything's complicated because we might die tomorrow. Then let's get married today. Let's have this one good thing, this one normal thing, this one piece of forever in all the chaos. You're serious? I've never been more serious about anything in my life. I want to marry you, Naomi. I want you to be my wife, not just in the eyes of the syndicate, but legally, officially. I want that bond, that certainty, that commitment that goes beyond blood and survival. I want everything with you. Tears were streaming down her face. This is insane. Loving you is insane. Being with you is insane. This whole situation is insane. But it's also the most real thing I've ever felt. So choose me, Naomi. Marry me. Let's carve out something good in all this darkness. Let's have this one beautiful thing that's just ours. She looked at the ring, at his face, at the hope and fear and love all mixed together in his expression. This man who'd been bleeding on a Seoul sidewalk 3 months ago. This man who'd claimed her, bound her, protected her, loved her. This man who was equal parts monster and miracle. And she knew her answer, had known it from the moment he asked. Yes, she said, her voice breaking. Yes, I'll marry you. I'll marry you tomorrow if you want. I'll marry you today. I'll marry you whenever, however, because I love you and I choose you and I want this too. I want everything with you. The smile that broke across his face was pure, unfiltered joy, like the sun breaking through storm clouds. He slipped the ring on her finger with shaking hands, and it fit perfectly, like it was meant to be there. Like this was always how it was supposed to end. Then he kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise, a beginning, a future, a choice. When? She asked against his lips. Soon, as soon as we can arrange it, before the war gets worse, before something else happens. I want you to be my wife, Naomi. I want that security, that certainty, that bond that goes beyond everything else. I want the world to know you're mine. I'm already yours. I know, but I want to make it official. I want that piece of paper, those vows, that moment where we stand in front of witnesses and promise forever. I want all of it. Then let's do it. She pulled back to look at him. This man she'd chosen against all logic and reason. Small ceremony, private, just us and the people who matter. No spectacle, just truth and love and commitment. Can we do that? We can do anything. He kissed her again. Anything you want, however you want it, as long as at the end you're my wife and I'm your husband. I love you, she whispered. I love you too, more than I knew I could love anything. You saved me, Naomi. In every way a person can be saved, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret it. I won't, I never will. They spent the rest of the evening planning. A small ceremony on the penthouse rooftop. Sunset timing for the light, just the inner circle as witnesses. Simple vows written by them, nothing elaborate or false. Just two people committing to each other in the most honest way possible. 3 days. That's all the time they gave themselves. 3 days to arrange everything. 3 days before they became husband and wife. 3 days to prepare for forever. Those 3 days were a blur of activity, planning a wedding while preparing for war. 2 impossible tasks happening simultaneously. Naomi found herself caught between choosing flowers and reviewing tactical plans for the strikes against the Kim syndicate. Between dress shopping and treating wounded soldiers. Between moments of joy and moments of terror. The Kim syndicate struck twice more during those 3 days. Small probing attacks, testing defenses. Each time Ji-won's men repelled them. Each time there were casualties. Men Naomi had to patch up, stabilize, send back into the fight. The cycle was exhausting and endless. But through it all, the wedding planning continued. Sarah, her friend from the clinic, came to help despite the danger. They picked flowers together, white roses and orchids. Found a simple white dress that made Naomi feel beautiful without trying too hard. Chose music. Planned the small menu for afterward. You're really doing this, Sarah said as they finalized the guest list. 20 people, that's all. Marrying him, fully committing to this life. I already committed when I took the blood oath. This is just making it official. Are you scared? Terrified, Naomi admitted. But not of marrying him, of everything else, of the war, of losing him, of what comes next. But not of him. No, never of him. He's the one thing I'm certain about. Sarah hugged her. Then that's all that matters. Love is rare, Naomi, real love. The kind that survives darkness and violence and impossible odds. You found it, don't let it go. I won't, I can't. He's part of me now. Literally, blood oath and all, but also emotionally, spiritually. In every way that matters. I don't know where I end and he begins anymore, and I don't want to know. The morning of the wedding arrived with surprising calm. No attacks, no emergencies, just a quiet morning filled with preparation and anticipation. Naomi stood in front of the mirror, looking at herself in the simple white dress she'd chosen. It was elegant, with clean lines and a fitted silhouette. Nothing dramatic or overdone, just beautiful. Her hair was down, natural curls framing her face the way Jiwon liked. Minimal makeup. The engagement ring caught the light, promising forever. Sarah stood behind her, adjusting the dress, making sure everything was perfect. You look absolutely beautiful, like you were made for this moment. I feel beautiful, and terrified, and excited, and like I might throw up. That's normal, that's love, Sarah smiled. You ready for this? I've been ready since the moment he asked. The rooftop had been transformed, simple but stunning. White flowers everywhere, roses and orchids creating an arch where they'd exchange vows. Soft lighting as the sun began its descent, painting everything in shades of gold and pink. White chairs arranged in neat rows for the small gathering. The Seoul skyline as backdrop, the city they both loved and feared spread out beneath them. About 20 people had gathered. Jiwon's inner circle, the men who'd fought beside him, bled beside him. Min-seok standing as best man. Sarah as maid of honor. A few others Naomi had come to trust over the past months. All of them witnesses to this impossible love story. And Jiwon, standing at the altar looking devastating in a black suit. When he saw Naomi appear at the entrance to the rooftop, his entire face changed. Softened. Like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Like she was everything. Naomi walked toward him alone, no one giving her away. This was her choice, her decision, her future. She was giving herself, claiming him just as he was claiming her. When she reached him, he took her hands. His were shaking slightly. You came, he said softly, wonder in his voice. Did you think I wouldn't? I was afraid you'd come to your senses, realize you deserve better than a man like me. There is no better, only you, always you. The officiant a man Min-seok had discreetly arranged began the ceremony. Traditional words about love and commitment and forever, about the sacred bond of marriage, about choosing each other every day. Naomi barely heard them. She was focused on Jiwon, on his eyes, on the way he held her hands like she was precious, like she was everything. Then it was time for vows, personal ones. They'd written them separately, promised not to share beforehand, wanted them to be a surprise, a gift. Jiwon went first. He cleared his throat, his voice rough with emotion. Naomi, I'm not good with words. I express myself through actions, through violence, through the things I do rather than what I say. But today I'm going to try to put into words what you mean to me. You saved my life that night on the street, but you've saved me every single day since. You looked at the monster I am and you didn't run. You saw the violence I'm capable of, the darkness I carry, and you stayed. You've given me something I never thought I'd have. Hope, purpose, a reason to be more than just a weapon. You're my anchor, Naomi. My humanity, the only thing that keeps me from drowning completely in the darkness. I promise to protect you with everything I am, to cherish you, to give you everything I have and everything I'll ever be. I promise to be worthy of the gift you've given me, your trust, your love, your life. I promise to fight for us for this, for forever. You're my wife now, and I will love you until my last breath, and probably beyond. Tears streamed down Naomi's face. She hadn't expected such raw vulnerability, such complete honesty. Around them, even the hardened soldiers looked moved. This was their leader, their weapon, their enforcer, laying his heart bare. Then it was her turn. She took a shaky breath, looking into his eyes. Jiwon, 3 months ago I was lost, broken from my past, searching for something I couldn't name. Then I found you bleeding and dying, and every instinct told me to walk away, to call for help and let someone else handle it. But I didn't. I saved you. And in saving you, I saved myself. You've shown me strength I didn't know I had. You've challenged me, changed me, terrified me, but you've also loved me in a way I never thought possible. Fierce, absolute, unwavering. I'm not the woman I was before you. I'm someone new. Someone forged in fire and blood and impossible choices. Someone stronger, someone braver. Someone who knows that love isn't always gentle or safe or easy. Sometimes love is choosing to stand beside someone in the darkness and refusing to let go. That's what I'm doing. I'm choosing you, in front of everyone. With full knowledge of who you are and what you do, I promise to stand beside you. To be your partner, not just someone you protect. To love you through the violence and the danger and the uncertainty. To be your light when the world gets too dark. To remind you of your humanity when you forget. You're mine, G1, completely. Forever, and I'm yours always. I love you, he whispered, his voice breaking. I love you too. The officiant smiled. The rings. They'd chosen matching platinum bands. Simple, elegant, eternal. G1 slipped hers on first, right next to the engagement ring. His hands were steady now, certain. Then Naomi slipped his on, a visible mark of their bond, a public claim. By the power vested in me, the officiant said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. G1 pulled her close and kissed her. Soft at first, tender, full of promise. Then deeper, more passionate, showing everyone watching exactly how much she meant to him. Around them, people applauded, cheered, whistled. But Naomi barely heard them. She was lost in this moment, in this kiss, in this man who was now her husband. When they finally broke apart, both smiling through tears, he pressed his forehead to hers. My wife, he said, testing the word. My husband, she replied. I really like how that sounds. Me too. The celebration that followed was intimate and joyful. Food and drinks and laughter. Stories shared by G1's men about missions gone wrong and close calls. Minseok gave a surprisingly touching toast about his brother finding happiness in the unlikeliest place. Sarah hugged Naomi tight and whispered, You did it! You found your person. As the evening wore on, as the sun set and stars emerged, Naomi found herself on the edge of the rooftop, looking out at Seoul. G1 came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Happy? He asked. Deliriously, terrifyingly, completely. She leaned back against him. This is the best day of my life. Mine too, and I never thought I'd have a best day. I thought all my days would be shades of gray, but you brought color, light, joy. We brought it to each other. They stood there in comfortable silence, watching the city. Their city. The place where they'd found each other and fought for each other and chosen each other against all odds. What happens now? Naomi asked. Now we fight, we survive, we protect what we've built, together. Together, she agreed, always together. Later, much later, after the guests had left and the rooftop was quiet, G1 carried Naomi to their bedroom. Their first night as husband and wife. Their first night as something more than bound partners. He laid her down gently, reverently, took his time undressing her, kissing every inch of revealed skin, worshipping her like she was sacred, like she was everything. I love you, he murmured against her skin. My wife, my partner, my everything. Show me, she whispered back. And he did, with touch and words and presence. They made love slowly, tenderly, like they had all the time in the world. Like the world outside didn't exist. Like it was just them, just this, just forever. Every touch was a promise. Every kiss a vow. Every moment a choice to love despite everything. Afterward, tangled together in the sheets, both sated and peaceful, Naomi traced the scars on his chest. The knife wound. The burn. The bullet wound she'd closed 3 months ago. Do you think we'll make it? She asked quietly. Through all of this, to the other side. I don't know, he admitted. The war with the Kim syndicate is escalating. More attacks are coming. We're going to lose people, maybe everything. But I know one thing, I'll fight for us with everything I have. Every breath, every moment, until there's nothing left. We'll fight together. That's our advantage. They're trying to tear us apart, but we're stronger together than we ever were separate. You're my strength, Naomi. My reason. Before you, I was just surviving. Now I'm living, fighting for something that matters. We both are. She kissed his chest, right over his heart. This is worth fighting for, us, this love, this life we're building. Even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous. Especially then, easy love isn't real love. Real love is choosing someone every day despite the cost, despite the fear, despite everything telling you to run. That's what we have. That's what we're building. He pulled her closer, tucking her head under his chin. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Even covered in my blood on a Seoul sidewalk, you were the best thing. She laughed softly. You're the best thing that happened to me too. Even bleeding out and refusing to go to the hospital, you changed my life. For better or worse. For everything, you gave me purpose. You gave me a family. You gave me a place to belong. I was just going through the motions before you. Now I'm alive. Really, truly alive. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, two souls bound by blood and vows and desperate love. Outside, Seoul hummed with life and danger and possibility. Inside, they'd created something precious, something sacred, something worth protecting at any cost. The peace lasted exactly 3 days. 3 days of newlywed bliss. 3 days of stolen moments and quiet mornings and the illusion of normalcy. 3 days of pretending the war wasn't coming. Then the Kim syndicate struck their hardest blow yet. Naomi woke to the sound of Jiwon's phone ringing at 3 a.m. She felt him tense beside her, heard him answer in rapid Korean, watched his face go hard and cold. What is it? She asked when he hung up. They hit 4 of our locations simultaneously, 12 dead, 23 wounded, millions in damage. His voice was emotionless, but she could see the rage beneath. This is it. The major offensive Min Seok warned about, it's begun. What do we do? We fight back. He was already getting dressed, moving with lethal efficiency. I need to go, coordinate our response, make sure our people are secure. You stay here. Maximum security. Don't leave this penthouse for any reason. The wounded will be brought here. I need you ready to treat them. It's going to be bad, Naomi, worse than before. Are you ready for that? She thought about the vows they'd just exchanged, about standing beside him through everything, about being his partner, not just someone he protected. I'm ready. Go, do what you need to do. I'll be here when you get back. He kissed her hard and fierce. I love you, my wife, my partner, my everything. I love you too. Come back to me. Always. Then he was gone, and Naomi was alone with the dawn and the certain knowledge that everything was about to change. The war they'd been preparing for had arrived, and it was going to test them in ways they couldn't imagine. But they'd face it together, husband and wife, partners, united. Because that's what they'd promised, in blood and vows and every moment between. Together, always together. No matter what came next. The wounded started arriving within the hour. Wave after wave of broken, bleeding men. Gunshot wounds, burns, shrapnel injuries, blunt force trauma. Naomi worked without stopping, her hands steady, her mind focused. This was what she knew. This was what she could control. Save the ones she could. Ease the passing of the ones she couldn't. Bear witness to the cost of war. By the time Jiwon returned 8 hours later, she'd treated 18 men. Saved 16. Lost 2. Their bodies lay covered in the corner, waiting for whatever funeral rites the syndicate performed. He found her scrubbing blood off her hands at the sink, tears streaming down her face. Silent tears, exhausted tears, the tears of someone who'd given everything and still felt it wasn't enough. Hey, he said softly, coming up behind her. His hands were gentle on her shoulders. You did everything you could. It wasn't enough. 2 dead. 2 men with families, with lives, with futures, gone because of this war, because of us. Not because of us, because of the Kim syndicate's greed and violence. This isn't on you, Naomi, or on me. This is on them. Does it matter whose fault it is? They're still dead. It matters because guilt will destroy you if you let it. Trust me, I know. He turned her to face him. You saved 16 lives today, 16 men who would have died without you. That's what matters. That's what you hold on to. and the two I lost. You honor them by continuing to fight, by saving the next one, and the next, and the next. That's all we can do. Keep fighting. Keep trying. Keep choosing to do good even when the world is full of darkness. She collapsed against him, letting him hold her while she cried. For the dead, for the wounded, for the impossible situation they were in, for the war that had no end in sight. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too, every second, but I have you, and that makes me brave enough to face it. We're going to lose people we care about. I know. We might lose each other. Then we make every moment count. He pulled back to look at her. Every second we have together, we don't waste it on fear or regret. We live fully. We love completely. We make this marriage, this partnership, this love worth everything it costs. You're right, she wiped her eyes. You're absolutely right. I married you for better or worse. This is the worse. And I'm still choosing you, still choosing us, still choosing to fight. That's my wife, he kissed her forehead. Strongest person I know. Second strongest, you're first. We'll agree to disagree on that. The war with the Kim syndicate raged for weeks. Attack and counterattack. Casualties on both sides. Naomi worked around the clock, treating wounded, saving lives, bearing witness to the cost of violence. Ji-won led his men with strategic brilliance and brutal efficiency, protecting their territory, their people, their life together. And through it all, they held on to each other, found moments of peace in the chaos, quiet mornings over coffee, stolen kisses between emergencies, nights wrapped in each other's arms, grateful for another day together. Their love became both weapon and shield, the thing that made them vulnerable and the thing that made them strong. The Kim syndicate tried to exploit it, targeting Naomi again and again. But each time, Ji-won and his men repelled them. Each time, they proved that their bond was unbreakable. Until finally, after weeks of brutal conflict, the Kim syndicate made a mistake, left an opening, and Ji-won's forces struck with devastating precision. The war ended not with a bang, but with negotiation. Both sides exhausted, both sides bleeding, both sides ready for peace. Terms were drawn, territories divided, blood debts acknowledged and settled, an uneasy truce that felt more like survival than victory. But it was over, finally over. The morning after the peace accords were signed, Naomi and Ji-won stood on their rooftop, watching the sun rise over Seoul. The same rooftop where they'd gotten married, the same city they'd fought so hard to protect. It's done, he said quietly. The war is over. For now, she said. There will be others. There always are in your world. Our world, he corrected. And yes, there will be others, but we'll face them together, like we faced this one. Together, she agreed. Always together. He turned to her, taking her hands. I have a question for you. Now that we have peace, now that we have time to breathe, what do you want? What does our future look like? She thought about it, really thought about it. About the life they'd built in blood and violence and desperate love. About what came next. I want to expand the medical facilities, make them better, more comprehensive. I want to train other doctors to work with the syndicate, create a real medical program. She met his eyes. I want to take what I'm good at and make it better, use it to save more lives, build something that lasts. I love that. What else? I want quiet mornings with you, and loud nights. I want to know you're coming home. I want routines and rituals and normalcy mixed with the chaos. I want. She paused. Someday, when it's safer, when we're more stable, I want a family, children, a future beyond just survival. His expression softened. Children, you'd want to bring children into this world. Our world is complicated, dangerous, but it's also full of love and loyalty and people who die to protect family. I think children raised in that with that would be strong, loved, safe. She squeezed his hands. Would you want that someday? I want everything with you. His voice was rough with emotion. A family, a legacy, something beyond violence and blood and war. I want to be a father, to have children who know they're loved, who have a better life than I had. Yes, Naomi. Someday, when you're ready, when we're ready, I want that more than anything. Then that's what we'll build. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. a future, a family, a life worth living. You make me believe it's possible. It is possible. We'll make it possible. He pulled her close, kissing her with all the love and hope and promise of forever. Around them, Seoul woke to a new day. A day of peace, however temporary. A day of possibility. They'd survived the war, together, and now they'd build the peace, together, because that's what partners did, what husband and wife did, what people bound by blood and vows and desperate love did. They chose each other, every day, every moment, every breath. And that choice, that commitment, that love was stronger than any enemy, more powerful than any weapon, more enduring than any war. It was forever. And forever started now. Thank you so much for watching episode 3 of Naomi and Jiwon's story. If you made it this far, you're part of their journey. You've witnessed their blood oath, their wedding, their war, and their survival. Hit that like button if this story moved you. Drop a comment with your thoughts, your feelings, your hopes for their future. And subscribe to stay tuned. Will they have the family they dream of? Will peace last? What new threats will emerge? If you want to find out, comment episode 4. Until next time, remember, the strongest bonds aren't forged in perfection. They're forged in choosing each other through the darkness, through the fear, through everything that tries to tear you apart. Naomi and Jiwon chose each other, against all odds, despite everything. And that makes all the difference. See you in the next episode.